2-0 last week on the road. Pretty much our last WAC road trip for a while. Just kind of talk about that and the results, and then how it feels to just really hunker down here for about 2 weeks as we kind of head down the home stretch.
Yeah, another successful road trip. We took care of business on Thursday. It's not coming off the Pac the Pan Am and playing in that environment and then having to play in Chicago State's environment, makes you a little worried about the guys, just having the right mindset. But they did, handled it well, got the W. And then expected, a much better environment on Saturday, and we got it. They had a great crowd. It was a whiteout. And they played well, especially in the first half. We struggled to get going offensively. I think we were down 3 at half, and then came out in the second half and methodically, stretched our lead. We got 4 a few times. We kept turning it over, and then finally we were able to get our defense to take hold, and I felt like that's why we built the lead up to 16, and then we're able to, hold them off, I guess. They made a rapid run there at the end, but we made enough plays, enough free throws to get the win and get out of there. But we talked about it in the locker room. We got 6 games left, 4 of them are home, 2 on the road, and 3 in a row at home coming up, and we're looking forward to it. Hopefully our fan base will come out and continue to support this team. Only 4 more opportunities to watch this particular team play, and they've certainly been doing that all year long, so hopefully we have 2 good environments this week.
Coach, did Saturday show how much you need Johnny? He doesn't score in the first half, much better in half 2, and it seemed like as he went, your offense kind of went there in the second half.
I don't know if we need him to score. We just need him to play at a high level, and he wasn't in the first half. Now, he was sick. He didn't practice Wednesday. He was in street clothes. He played limited minutes on Thursday for that reason. And then he started feeling a little bit better come Saturday, but he wasn't 100%. But he was feeling well enough that, he practiced Friday and didn't seem quite as sick. And he just couldn't get going. We were urging him. The bench was urging him in timeouts, which was great to hear. And then in the second half is when he started being more aggressive on both ends of the floor. I mean, defensively, he had some major breakdowns early. They scored 4 direct points on him to start the game, and Giles got going and got confident. And then in the second half, he just was flying around a little bit more, getting on the glass. He had the big foul dunk. That was a big play for us, and just was more energized. And, I don't know why, if it was the sickness. I hope that's what it was. But we need him to be the most athletic player on the floor and be an aggressive version of Johnny. When he does that, it just makes our team just have another dimension.
Really good performance by Sean Williams in that Chicago State game off the bench. Just how important is it to get that second unit scoring going?
Yeah, I was happy for him. We see it almost daily in practice. I mean, he's a lights-out shooter, and for whatever reason, he just hasn't quite got untracked for us this year like we expected him to, and, to be honest, like he expected to. He got here late. It certainly didn't help him, but he's been here long enough now that's not an excuse. And he's been handling it great. From the role he had at East Carolina to the role he has here, that's hard on an individual. But he's been great. His teammates they're rooting for him. We're all rooting for him. We need him to play well and to make shots and to be able to guard his yard and not break down defensively. But because of how he's handled it, I think we'll see him down the stretch continue to have opportunities, and hopefully, he can make 3 or 4 threes in some games here coming up, because he's certainly capable of it.
Coach, you have Seattle Thursday. What makes them so good, and do you feel like Terrell Brown, especially just him individually, is one of the best players in the conference?
Oh, hands down, he's one of the best players in the conference. And for whatever reason, him, along with a couple other guys in our league, seems to play their best against us. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he has big numbers against us every single time. So we probably need to look inward and do something different with him, because he gives us lots of problems. But he's just a good player. I mean, he's a great kid. I mean, from what I hear, what I see, how he plays, you get a pretty good idea of what kind of kid you are when, how you compete on the court. And he's always first class and respectful and plays really hard. And he's just a hard guard. And it's interesting because he does most of his damage, inside the arc. And so, the three-point shot isn't, where he lives and dies. So you would think you could, do a better job on him when he's a guard and not taking a lot of threes. But he just has adapted so well to how people defend him and lay off him. And he just takes that slack up and gets into people's bodies. And he's so strong and physical around the basket. And what I've noticed lately is, he was more of a left-handed driver, which is typical in this day and age for a right-handed player. But now he's added some spins, getting back, to his right hand, and that throws the defense off. And, he's certainly got to prepare for their whole team, but it starts with him.
Another good performance from Yvonne on Saturday. You talk about guys like the bench hyping Johnny up. It seems like the bench really gets behind him when he's in the post. Of just kind of, if you could just kind of break down his performance on Saturday and going forward, what you'll need from him.
Yeah, he really got it going. People talk about being in the zone on the perimeter a lot, but I felt like he was in that zone, that comfort level with the ball in his hands, and the ball went in for him early. And I've said this time and time again, but it's worth repeating that this group that we're coaching the last couple of years, they've been tremendous at supporting one another and rooting for one another, and it's awesome to be a part of it. It's certainly helpful, I think, for the guys on the floor to hear that from their teammates, the ones that are going against head-to-head, every day, and when no one's watching and really competing, and then they get there on game day and they support one another really well. But Yvonne's playing, his best basketball, certainly offensively. His work is being rewarded. He's worked tirelessly on his game, and his touch has gotten better. He doesn't shoot the three a ton, but he does it enough where people have to at least think about guarding him out there, and that's opened some things up for him and others. But they were just feeding him the ball. We weren't necessarily running stuff for him. We had that stretch there in the second half for about 8-10 minutes where I think he touched the ball, almost every time down the floor, and he was either scoring or dishing out for someone else. And I'm happy for him. He's in his senior year. He's going down the stretch. And certainly back in Kansas City, he played his junior college ball in Iowa, and I think there was a few folks there to watch him, so it was a great night for him.
Saturday, Coach, is the Final Four reunion. You talked a lot about the history of this program. What will that be like to be part of Saturday's event?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I've enjoyed getting to know the past players and coaches of this historic program, and certainly Saturday will be no different. The guys that come back, hopefully they'll, enjoy it. I'm sure the fans will embrace them. We're hopeful that, Coach is coming back as well. And it'll be a big day if it all happens. Certainly, I've been fortunate to be a part of a Final Four, and that's special. You can't break that bond, you have with those coaches and players for the rest of your life. And certainly it's a great memory to have. And, Mario and his crew have done a tremendous job all year long of recognizing folks this season, and Saturday will be a lot of fun with the significant Final Four team returning.
Coach, can you give us a quick scouting report on Utah Valley?
I haven't gotten into them because we play Seattle first, but certainly we've played them. From what I can see, they're playing better than they were the first time we played them. They've had a lot of close games. And they've lost some. Their record could be completely different right now, and that's what happens in conference play. There's not a ton of blowouts. Most of the games are closely contested and usually come down the last 4 or 5 minutes where, one or two, guys make a shot or two to be the difference. But they got those guards out front that are really fast and can shoot and drive. And then they got the shot blocker around the basket, and they got plenty of shooters to go around. So we're going to contend with Seattle here for the next few days, but I'm sure it'll be a tough matchup on Saturday too.